Listen.
As both a performer and a vocal educator, sometimes I get asked some really interesting and fabulous questions. One of the questions I get asked regularly is, how do you learn a song? And I've always found that question to be rather intriguing and really interesting. And so over the next 2 weeks, I'd like to break that question down.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Ronan-Pearce.
Hi, I'm Nina Ferro.
And welcome to Sound Voices.
1, 2, 3. Listen.
This week's part 1 is all about the function and form of learning a song and how best to commit it to memory. And then tune in next week as I dive more into the nuanced approach of the song performance and delivery. The one thing I've come to understand with learning a song in the time that I've been performing, which is a few decades now, is that there's nothing better than time. Having time with a song will help you to internalize and deliver the song with the best options possible. But sometimes that's not always the option. There are times where we have to learn a song and perform it either that day, that minute, that hour, that week. So we need ways in which to be able to commit these things to memory and feel like we've been singing these songs for a long time, to basically be able to perform them in a way that the audience would never know that we've possibly been in the back room literally learning a song before stepping out on stage. Songs are made up of 3 specific things. There's a lot going on, but when you're looking at a song, you're looking at a melody, a lyric, and a chordal structure, a form of the song. Knowing all those 3 things well is what's going to help you deliver the song best. I always begin with the melody. As a singer, the melody is your anchor point. A lot of times we learn the melody connected completely to the lyric. And if we forget the lyric, then the melody goes out the window as well. The one beautiful thing about the melodic line is it will also give you an idea of the chordal structure and how it moves through harmonically. Using that just helps to anchor the oral skills that you're developing. And it will also help you to go off the melody when you want to improvise, scat, riff, all those kinds of things. So learn the melody, and not just learn the melody, learn the correct melody. So it might take a little bit of time to find the correct melody. The best thing to do is maybe to find the printed music so you know exactly what that melody line is. And then we've got the opportunity now with technology to find lots of different recordings of the song if it's been previously recorded and sung. So find all of that information, go and listen to as many singers as you can and work out, what that melody actually is. The other reason that learning the melody is so important is it's also the fact that someone has taken time to create a piece and they've thought it through and they've worked really hard on that. For anyone who's ever written a song, tried to write a song, they'll understand that the process can be quite frustrating, demanding, and tricky at times. So we want to honor that. We want to honor the time that someone's taken to write this song the way that they have, which includes the lyrics as well. Learning the melody for a genre like classical music, opera, music theatre, those kinds of things where they're fairly structured and you need to know the melody completely. That's one aspect. But the other aspect is the contemporary genres that might be a little loose, like jazz and soul and funk and pop. So when it comes to those particular songs, you still want to make sure that you are as close to the written melody and knowing that written melody as much as possible. And using the melodic line will actually help you to develop an ear as to where the chordal structure is going. Know the form of the song. Know when there's a verse, a chorus, a bridge, an interlude, the intro, the outro, a key change, all of those kinds of things. The jazz repertoire particularly is fairly standard. Most forms are fairly similar. And so the chordal structure repeats itself. And that's one really great thing about it. Same with pop music. It's actually quite simple in a lot of ways. And it's really the melodic line that gives the song its colour and its excitability. The next step, of course, are lyrics. So write them down. I think that's always the best way. For me personally, when I've had to learn a song really quickly, just looking at them on a screen or even typing them into the computer will only go so far. I find if I take a pen to paper, I remember things a lot quicker because your muscles have that memory. And then read the lyrics, read the story behind the lyric. If you can connect to it in a way that will help you to recall, that's really what we're after here. I'll dive a little deeper into that next week in terms of the delivery of a song and how to really connect to it and perform it. For the best tips on presentation and performance skills, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and Vanessa and I will notify you when we add more content to this channel. I've spoken to a few of my colleagues and friends who are singers about how they learn songs, and there were some really interesting answers from people. Most of the time, they will listen to it, over and over and over again, particularly if it's a song that they're covering. It's not one of their original tunes. So we're predominantly talking about covers here. Your own originals, well, that's your job. But it's more about singing a cover. I go through a system of listening to the song, writing out the lyrics, and I'll write them out quite a few times. Then I'll go back and I will use a prompt. So I'll either use a full line or just a word. And I try to break it down to one word so that I can see one word written, and then I know what the rest of the line is going to be, or even the rest of that paragraph or stanza. I have a friend of mine who goes one step further, and she draws like a storyboard, a cartoon storyboard of pictures that help facilitate her recall and to also connect to the song emotionally. I thought that was really great. I'd love to hear about your experiences here and what you use to help you learn a song and recall the lyrics particularly. Another tip with learning lyrics and getting them connected so that you can recall them is also to read the lyric out like poetry. Find the rhythm of the conversational aspect of the song. If we can connect to it like we're speaking, we might actually be able to connect to it a little quicker when we're on the stage. And of course, the more you connect with the lyric and the meaning of the lyric, the more authentic you can be presenting that song and performing that song in whichever context you find yourself in. And then what should you do if you forget the lyrics? Because predominantly we forget the lyrics. It's not necessarily the melodic line that we forget. It's usually the lyrics. And so what do you do when that happens? Well, as I have found out firsthand through my career and having moments where I've forgotten things, the most professional thing to do is to just keep going and knowing that you have a few options here. So one of the first options is repeat something you've already sung. You can kind of feel it when you know that it's just about to happen and you're like, oh no, what do I do? You know what? Just sing the same thing again. Just sing something that's already in the song again until you calm down and you're able to move into the next section of the song. Because sometimes just moving into a different section of the song will kick in the impulse to be able to sing the next part of the song, whatever that might be. So that's the first thing. Just keep going. That's the most professional thing you can do for a number of reasons. Firstly, the audience generally won't know that you've had a bit of a hiccup if you can just smile and keep going. Another thing to do is to, if you're feeling confident about this and you've done a little bit of this in the past, is to scat, just improvise. And, some of the best things come out of the mistakes that we make. So scatting, improvising, riffing until you figure out where you are is also another option. If there's an option to throw the solo to another member of the band, if you're working with live musicians, you can just give them that little look and go, take it away, until you get a chance to kind of figure out where you are and be able to come back confidently. But don't stop if you can really avoid that. And then if it's just turning out that it's a bit of a mini car crash, then having a good sense of humor about this and having a good giggle. At the end of the song, you can always back announce and say to the crowd, well, this is when you're at a live show. This isn't pre-recorded. We're human and sometimes we make mistakes. But I always think, stay light about these things. Our audiences are pretty forgiving. They won't really notice it unless you make a big deal of it. And I also want to say that when it does happen, it can feel like the end of the world. And so be kind to yourself. Please don't judge it. Don't just observe what happened. And then you might need to go away and think, okay, I really don't know that song well enough. How can I learn that song better? What do I need to do? Where am I struggling to remember something? And then go back and revisit some of the things that I've mentioned already and see if any of those can help you to be able to commit this more to memory. And I've still got songs in my life where I really struggle to remember verses, especially if they're similar. That's always a tricky one. And I also think that if you're performing a song where you have not had a lot of time, I don't particularly like having to read lyrics, but there's nothing wrong with writing out the first word quite large with a Sharpie or something, or print it off on the floor so that you can just glance down, know what that word is, and then be able to deliver the rest of it to the crowd. I don't think there's anything wrong with that as long as you can do it in a way that isn't obvious, especially if you might be on TV or something. But for live shows and whatnot, sometimes we just need a little prompt. We just need that little bit of encouragement to remember what was coming next, especially if we haven't had a lot of time to learn these things. But I'd love to hear how you go about learning a song. And you know what? If you've got a little story about when it didn't go so great, we'd love to hear about that too. And sharing these stories just helps us all understand that, we're all in the same boat together and it might help somebody. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and stay tuned as we bring you more and more content. Also, if you would like to join the Sound Voices community for all things singing, pitching, performance and presenting, please come and join our Facebook page. The link is down below. Finally, if you would like more in-depth training, sign up here at our website for early access to our performance programs launching in 2021. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, check out our latest 2 videos on overcoming nerves, part 1 and part 2, with my business partner and friend, Vanessa Ronan-Pearce. We have a great conversation around this subject and we hope that it helps you.